Welcome to the Darren Well podcast with Rita Mercer.
Savage without chill is just rage. And chill without savage is just laziness.
Welcome, guys. Welcome back to the Darren Well podcast. My guest today is Cam Corden. Cam is the founder of Savage Chill and is the author of a newly released book, Savage Chill, Die to Live. At age 44, dealing with chronic pain and 3 failed marriages, he was starting to plan his own exit. 40-kilogram kettlebell and the deep end of a pool. He gave himself 911 days to change. For him, that 911-day contract, it wasn't a metaphor. It was a deadline. The deadline to transform completely or execute the exit plan. He chose healthy actions over suicidal ideations. So as we get into today's conversation, I don't want you to check out and think we're just glorifying suicide, but we're talking about ways to lean into hope over things when they feel bleak and dark. So with Cam's story, he chose, again, healthy actions over suicidal ideations. He wasn't waiting to die. He was racing to live. I love that about Cam's story, so I'm excited for you guys to hear that. So Cam, now he's 49. He's way past that deadline of 911 days, and he's 90% healed through cold exposure, carnivore nutrition, and kettlebells. I'm excited for you guys to hear more about Cam's story and how to find ways to tap into hope when life does feel dark, and how to heal the mind and your body through physical and emotional strength. So again, thank you for joining the Darren Well podcast, Cam. Welcome.
Thanks for letting me be here.
Awesome. So before we get into today's talk, tell me more about your story. Tell me more about, so I know those dark days of walking through the 3 failed marriages and that 911-day contract.
So it was a Saturday. I remember this perfectly well. I was still in the 3rd marriage and things weren't going very well. I had a son from a previous marriage, and he had 2.5 years left of high school. And on that day, we agreed on a divorce. And I walked out to the pool deck. It was a late night. And I was doing the math in my head. And I said, okay, he has 2.5 years. And I calculated the days, which was roughly 911 days till he was off to college. And I felt literally, I was 44, but I felt like I was 70 plus years old. I mean, like every
because of all the stress.
Stress. Everything was collapsing before my eyes. 3 failed marriages, a body that was terrible. I had the nerve issues that I already had surgeries, and the pain was still there because I waited too long. And I was out there just calculating the math, and I said to myself, like, what am I fighting for? You know, son's already gone. 3rd failed marriage. And I'm sitting out there thinking, and it like the moonlight struck on the kettlebells in the corner, and I saw the kettlebell. And it just came to me. And I said, I'm going to take that kettlebell, chain it to my ankle, and walk into the pool in 911 days if I don't feel like I'm 20-something years old again. And it was realistically, it was a moment of clarity. I can't describe it. And it gave me a purpose to actually solve a problem instead of just going through life on cruise control, because I felt dead. And I became a man on a mission. And that's where the journey started that night on the pool deck.
Wow. So the death contract was more of like a promise to yourself that I need to get this handled.
Yeah. And I tried everything before that. And I will add that that night, maybe even past nights, there was a lot of drinking wine every night, I was smoking weed for, pain, but it doesn't really do anything. But part of me didn't want to give it up because then I realized that nothing was working. But literally that night, all those personalities I had, identities, I drowned them. It literally, I told myself, like, I can't bring you guys along the way. You guys are cowards. You're the one that got me here. And, never again did I ever touch any of it. It was just, I had a clear mission, like it was divine intervention.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. So you had to we usually say come to Jesus meeting. Like, I'm coming to my thoughts, I'm coming to myself, and I'm just like, yeah, this is not working. That's powerful, Cam.
Mm-hmm. It was, and then the next day I woke up as a different man with a mission.
Wow. Wow. So tell me about Savage Chill again before we get too deep into the conversation. What does Savage Chill mean? Like, why did you choose that? It's pretty savage, but
yeah, that's a great. That's pretty interesting. But basically, savage without chill is just rage, and chill.
Ooh, say
chill
that
without
again.
Yeah, and chill without savage is just laziness.
True.
So, and like when I say savage, savage means doing the things that make you uncomfortable on purpose, putting yourself in discomfort on purpose. And the chill is the two rules I have. Yeah, no panicking, no whining. And when you combine them, you have a cold mind, hard body, and clear goals.
That's powerful. So say that again, what savage and chill means.
Yeah, savage without chill is just rage. And chill without savage is just laziness.
Dude, that's powerful. That's powerful. Because you're right. A lot of people won't chase their dreams, their goals, because they're just too lazy.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
I like that. Savage chill. Yeah, because it's definitely two polar opposites when I think of it, but it sounds so cool. Okay. So in those moments of the darkness, you were still thinking about your son, thinking about your family and how you would leave them in those dark moments.
Yeah, and I figured off in college, everything, he's already got his college going for him. Like he can continue. Everything is good. I did my duty as a parent.
Gotcha. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing those pieces of your story. So when you wanted to, what gave you hope in those moments? Was it him, or was there something else that was giving you hope?
I mean, I wanted to live, but I didn't want to. I didn't want the managed decline. I wasn't going to just slowly fade away. Doctors gave me drugs that temporarily worked, but then I went to another doctor, and they would tell me, like, your liver enzymes are through the roof. It's killing you. You can't take that every day. And then I go back to the doctor and say, well, only left now is we can give you pain meds to manage the decline. It's a degenerative disease. And on a flip side is I have a father with like some nerve disorder, and I've watched him over the years, piece by piece, lose function. And I didn't want that to be me. I said, no way, because like working out has always been my life. It's who I am, and I said I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah. What kind of pain or what kind of degenerative disease was it?
Well, I had the nerve issue in both arms. They fixed it, but I waited too long, so the nerve pain was still there. I broke so many bones, and arthritic, and it was just terrible. Like I couldn't sleep. It was just a really dark period. And when you don't sleep, then it compounds the effects. You feel even worse.
Gotcha. So dealing with chronic pain. How many years did you have to deal with that?
It started when I was 37.
That's still fairly young, Cam.
Very young. And I noticed that, working out, I go train all the time. And all of a sudden, like the soreness, it was a different type of soreness and it just stayed. And I still kept going. And then slowly things would just get worse and worse. And towards the end of the second marriage, I don't know if it's emotional or not, but it was like right towards the end. All of a sudden, I woke up one day and my hands were just numb, like almost dead.
Wow. That must have been scary.
It was scary. And like I still kept doing what I was doing, thinking like it'll go away. And it didn't. I was in denial that there was something wrong.
Yeah. So all those years of chronic pain. Okay. So what changed first for you, the pain or the mindset? So you going through all the doctors, trying to numb with like substance use, and none of that was helping. So what changed first for you?
Well, I think it started after that contract. I took a whole different approach because I really had a real negative opinion on doctors after that. And I started really investigating like strange protocols. I tried them. I tried peptides. I experimented. I kept the data. And the biggest one to start that really made a notice was the cold plunge. I built one out of a deep freezer. I started doing it religiously, and I started doing it excessively, and it worked. But like there was still the pain in the body subsided, but there was still, I would say, mental problems. I wasn't right still.
Yeah. So when you think about the difference with like willpower or discipline, like which one was stronger for you or which one helped most?
Well, and I really talk about this in the book, is a good system automatically creates discipline, and there is no willpower needed. And every time you have to make, like I refer to them as micro decisions that could be automated, that drains your willpower. So you really have to eliminate, and I have a big chapter on this, on subtraction. You start subtracting lots of things from your life, and your willpower increases. And you follow the system, your discipline, it's a natural byproduct. So I don't believe that people are born with discipline or not. It's structure. So you have to have the right structure and the right environment. So it's a real, like, every module I have in the book kind of works on top of another. Because you have to reset and make real lasting changes, you have to have like a clean environment, structure. And if you just start with like the cold exposure, the workout and diet, it's good. But the real thing, it has to be a total package. And I didn't really experience that till like once the divorce was final, which it did last quite some time after that night. But it eventually happened. So it was really, so I would tell everyone, if they were looking a place to start, is clutter. I know it sounds funny, but this is probably the biggest thing that you can fix for yourself. Clutter and drinking enough water.
Like spring cleaning clutter?
Like clutter, make your house look like a hotel.
Okay.
Because every time you walk past it, it causes anxiety. It causes you to think about the pile of someday I have to do this. Just get rid of it. Because it'll keep you on track to the actual system you're designing. But if your house looks like from an episode of Hoarders, you probably won't last long with whatever you do.
That's true. And you say drink more water. What's your suggestion? Is it by weight, body weight? Like, how do you suggest?
You could probably go by body weight is like a fair example, and like quote others because people underestimate this, but like Tom Brady, like his program really emphasizes water, and he says a minimum of 1 ounce of water per pound, and sometimes 2 to 3, depending if you're in the heat, working out. And everyone fails that, especially, they wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is turn the coffee maker on. It's like that's like throwing gasoline on a fire.
How so?
Well, you already wake up dehydrated. This is natural. Then once dehydration kicks in, you're going to panic more. Then you're adding caffeine to it, and it's going to cause even more panic. And like you're stuck in like a doom loop. So I think like every morning I have these bottles. I fill them up every night. I drink 2 of these, then I walk downstairs. So at least 30 ounces, I would say, to start. Just drink it right while you're in bed. And people notice a big difference right away. If you had brain fog, it goes away. So it's the little things people forget. It's the basics.
Gotcha. So getting back to the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess let's go back to that conversation about like discipline and willpower. So what about motivation? So people that say, I just don't feel motivated, like to make any healthy changes with their diet, with their actions, with their movement. Like, what do you say about motivation?
I don't believe in motivation. If you're not motivated, you haven't designed the right system for yourself, that you're just not compatible with it. And everything starts with, basically you should start from scratch and just do a little. And I think that's the big problem with like workout routines and everything else, is people buy someone else's program that's designed for them, not for you. So you have to structure it, and most people don't. So you start small, just like everything else. Is it sustainable? Can you do it every day? Can you do it even on your worst days? And the other aspect where most people fail is you're adding something to your life. You have to get rid of something else in return. You just have to subtract. And I have an online school, but I like to say is, if you don't subtract, God will do it for you, and He'll do it with a chainsaw. So you should really look at
true.
So you have the choice to subtract, and it's subtracting items, old identities you have, but they're still, you can't keep trophies of old identities of yourself. You have to get rid of them. And that's it. You have to start. If you add something, you have to replace. You have to eliminate one thing. I prefer if you eliminate even more. You should spend time just eliminating.
That's very good and very simple. Yeah, you got to fill the void. You got to fill the void. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And I think too is people have these do you remember the TV show The Biggest Loser?
Oh yeah.
Like they would kill these people, but realistically, from an exercise standpoint, they haven't done anything their whole life. They probably just walking alone would get the same results, but it's a TV show. It's not how it really works in the real world. And can they continue that rugged pace? I don't think so.
So it's not
has to be sustainable, where there's no motivation required.
That's where, like you said, the systems come back into place.
Yes.
Gotcha. So how do people find emotional freedom through chosen discomfort? So ways to manage pain by eliminating the root cause.
Well, I will say this is like, I'll take the cold exposure. It is discomfort, but it gives you a sense of understanding of your body. And when you do the hard things and you put yourself in discomfort, it gives you more freedom and you appreciate the comfort more.
So you choose to put your body through intentional discomfort.
Yes.
Because your body,
Because
you're going to go through
eventually,
discomfort regardless, just by byproduct of being a human in
yes,
everyday life. But choosing discomfort.
choosing discomfort, it works. People don't like it, but if you do it, like with my system, how I designed it is I do the discomfort is in the cold plunge, and the natural reaction when you get out is you're cold because I stay in a long time, and I encourage people to stay in a long time. So you
How long is
want
a long time? Like 5 minutes?
sometimes 30 minutes. I wouldn't look if you're starting. That's not you build up to it, but it's a natural product, so there is no motivation needed. You're sitting there and you're like, I'm going to work out. Like I don't like to work out, but I get out of that cold plunge. I don't want to just sit there because eventually, it constricts all the vessels in your limbs. Eventually, those vessels are going to open up, and cold water is going to be pumping through you, and it's not a pleasant experience. So you say, I got to warm up fast. What's the easiest way? You work out. And you have all the hormones pumping through. You have the adrenaline dump from it, the norepinephrine, and you feel great. And it's like you just want to do it. So there is no motivation. It's almost a survival mechanism. You want to work out.
Wow. So you tap into the body's core survival instincts.
Yeah.
That is hardcore. That's so you build up to 30 minutes. What is the starting point then?
I mean, it depends on the person, but like a
Mm-hmm.
minute, and you just constantly increase. And like, I don't go 30 minutes that often anymore, but I go at least 8 to 16 minutes is like the average in that range,
Mm-hmm.
depending on, my schedule. And it works for me because I stay cold enough that it like motivates me. But if I just go in for a minute, because I've been doing it so long, I'm warm like that. So you kind of want to like push yourself towards the edge. And when you kind of push towards the edge, that's where all the rewards are.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. I love how you said, I got a quote from you that I stopped being a victim of my body and became its commander.
Yes.
Tell me more about what that means for you.
I think with the cold exposure, and it really works on the 2 rules, the no panicking, no whining, is you can't panic when you're in there. If you panic when you get in the cold water, you're finished. You take that grasp of air, you're going to go. You can't stay in there. So you have to control your mind, and you have to stop, and it teaches you to stop playing that doom loop inside your head, because I think panicking is, you can state something is uncomfortable, right? That's data. But if you're making like horror films inside your mind, that is panicking. And like the whining is, you can make a complaint once, but you have to take action. If you make the complaint a second time without taking action, you're whining. And that's basically the sound of surrender.
That's deep. That's deep.
I mean, it sounds like very simple rules. And how I came up with these rules, it was in 2008. I was with my son. He was just like, maybe 4. And we were hiking in Lake Tahoe, and it was snow on the ground. It was already like to his knee level. We're walking, and the snow is coming down. And on the way back, now it's up to his waist. And I'm like, come on, let's go, keep going. And he's crying. He's like, this is hard. And we're pretty decent amount from the house. And I panicked too. I said, if he starts panicking, this is not a good thing. And I told him, I said, look, there's 2 rules in life. No panicking, no whining. It just came, maybe it came from the divine. And I told him, I said, it'll take a lifetime to master, and even then you won't master it, but you'll catch it faster.
Yeah.
And like he took a couple more steps. He started crying. I said, what's rule 1? He's like, no panicking. And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, panicking. and we made it home. And I think it was a learning moment, but I think it was him teaching me about it. And through life, once you learn these rules and you can start seeing it every day and you start trying to master it and pushing yourself in that discomfort, like I said, with the cold plunge or anything that it would make you want to panic. So when you experience it in real life, which eventually you will, you're prepared. You're in a cool, calm mindset. And I think most people today just flip out. You can see it on the road. They have road rage. It's because everyone panics.
How do you talk yourself out of that? So not even just a you problem, but how do you encourage people that are struggling with panic and pushing past pain or discomfort in everyday life, but also in their body? How do you talk to yourself? I love the rules, but what is practical ways that you can talk to yourself to get through that?
Well, it's good. After that day on the trail, I started enforcing the rules in the house, and in return, everyone in the house would enforce the rules on me. So you become, aware of it. It's pretty hard to do it by yourself. And then the cold exposure also teaches it as well, is you can't panic because you're intentionally putting yourself into something that's terrible. You can't sit there and say, I'm going to die. But, if you look at it as you go into the cold plunge, you can also look at, there are people that spend hours in it. I think the world record is a long time. So they're not panicking, so you can go in a minute, you can go in 2 minutes, you can find the evidence that you're not going to die. But you have to decide, and inside your mind as well, you have to catch yourself and name it right away. Okay, panic.
So that's the first step, is naming it, not dismissing
naming it. And it usually kills it right away. And the other steps is, usually when you panic, your breathing becomes shallow. So it's take some big breaths, relax, and stop playing that doomsday movie in your head.
Yeah. I love, there's a researcher, that Dr. Brene Brown, she talks about the story that we tell ourselves. And so what's the story you're telling yourself? Oh, that I'm going to die by sitting in cold plunge, or I'm going to die by doing this extra exercise, or I'm going to die by whatever. And so we make this catastrophize everything. And so name it, name the panic, name the fear. So call it out, and that squashes it quickly. And then ground yourself with your breath.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I think that, and train for it. I think that's probably, look, everyone can take a cold shower. Everyone can do something that is, not comfortable, but you can train it. And it's really good if you incorporate the rules. And I recommend keep a wine log. So when you do catch yourself, write it down, and then you can see how ridiculous it is. And when you're aware of the rules, you'll start seeing other people do it all the time, and it'll annoy you. And you'll be like, oh. And then you'll have to tell yourself, I don't want to be that
guy. So that's motivation as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Heck yeah.
But like I said, it takes, one, starting to implement, you start being aware. And awareness is the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then having the systems in place that keeps you grounded on the days that, like you say, you don't want to do it.
Mm-hmm. But have a contingency plan. And I discuss this a lot, is for every block of your day, or let's just say, I'll do the workout or the cold plunge, is I got 4 hours sleep. I have to go to a meeting, whatever. It's okay, do X, the minimum. I'll do it 50% of what I normally do. Because if you do something, it's still a victory. But if you do nothing, it's a loss. And that is bad for you, and you've already broken the system, and you've just shown it's not sustainable. And you have to recognize the system you planned was the clear-headed person that, created it, not when you're in your worst state.
That is so true. That's so true. And I like the idea of the contingency plan, because it gives yourself grace for whatever may happen with your schedule, your family's schedule, your body, like what you need, but you're still doing it. So it's not, as you said, it's not considered as a loss. It's considered a win.
Yeah.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
And with it all too in there is you don't have to sit there and think about it. You're not draining mental capital thinking like, what should I do? Maybe I should do less. It's already there. You just have to hold the sheet of paper up, and there's no thought process. And I had a guy when I was a kid that I worked for, and he always, when someone would make a mistake, he would yell and say, thinking hurts the team. The system does all the thinking for you. That's the beautiful part of it. Because in today's world, especially now, there's so many decisions to make every part of the day. And with this, everything is really like spelled out. I can't recommend it enough, is to really break down your day, contingency plans for everything. It works. It's not exciting to do, but it probably has the biggest payoff.
That's smart. That's smart, Cam. That's smart. So as we wrap up today, what are some words of wisdom that you can encourage someone as far as taking action today? You gave a lot of good tidbits, but I don't know if there was any parting words of wisdom or mindset strategies that they can take today.
Well, I would probably start with is elimination to start. Like if you're really struggling, is start eliminating from every area of your life, from people, items, commitments, and your life will start from there. You'll have less stress because in today's world, everyone wants to jam so much together, and you'll have more mental clarity, time to think, and especially, and I even go into it, is you have to eliminate digital clutter too, which is probably the worst thing in today's world. Is there's so much, people's phones, they're beeping all the time. Like I had a friend come over and his phone beeps every minute, and after a while, that was the last time he ever came here. It's like all of a sudden you feel stress. You hear ding, ding. It was like, okay, enough.
It's like sensory overload. That's
yeah. So I would start with that. I mean, just silencing all notifications and just breaking down your day and then start looking at it and say, yeah, I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. But subtraction is hard. People don't want to do it. But you have to really, and look at people that also, when you subtract people, who steals your energy? Because we all have that person in the life you call, just calls to complain about his life, ask questions this is the problem I have. And you give him a good answer, and then a month later he calls you back with the exact same problem. It's like he made the cut. You got to get rid of him if you want peace of mind. You're not a bad guy for doing it. You're saving yourself.
And it's also a gift for that other person because they get to learn that this process of elimination is happening too often. You know what I mean? So it's it can't be all 25 of my friends keep eliminating me, and I'm not the problem. So it helps you to look inward too. So it's a gift for both people. But yes. Yeah, I definitely believe in the digital clutter. I think in the maybe past couple of years. So even on my watch, I'll get dings. And so there's times during the day where I will silence all notifications unless there's a special meeting that I'm preparing for. Well, I definitely will silence it for those. But times that I'm really focused, that I really want to be aware of something that's coming up. So I will turn it on so I can get the notification. But I definitely do a lot of silencing those just so I'm not getting 25 email and dings and the camera from my doorbell. It'll all ding to my phone and my watch and all my devices. It's it's too much.
It is.
Silence it. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Total makes a huge difference. And I would even go as far to say, if you have your phone with 100 apps scattered through multiple pages, you should put them in folders. I literally have one screen with everything in folders categorized. And shut off the social media notifications. Even if it's your business, it's not going to make or break you to hear these notifications.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because a lot of people, they end up picking it up and looking at the phone, and then all of a sudden 30 minutes of their life got wasted scrolling.
True.
So I look at it as subtract whatever does not bring you closer to your mission.
Your goal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just staying laser focused.
Yeah. And I think if you do all this, you will, the flow state everyone strives to get, you can turn it on at any minute.
Yeah.
You're not learning to panic. Everything else is because you cannot get in the flow state if you're panicking.
That's true.
So, training for discomfort, it works. And it can start with literally a cold shower. Start with ending the shower cold and enduring it. Just accept it. Don't fight it. Just accept it.
Yeah. Even with clients with anxiety or depression or suicidal ideation, we'll just talk to them about like cold water up under their hands. And so just leaning into the discomfort, things that you are in control of. So giving your mindset a know-how that, hey, I can control any type of pain that comes in and out of my life.
Yeah. I mean, it makes a huge difference. And in today's world, we have it the most comfortable ever in time. Like the people that are struggling right now technically have better living conditions than John D. Rockefeller had. People don't realize that. We're in a comfort culture, and just the sign of discomfort people run away from. But eventually it's going to find you.
Yeah.
You can make it your choice or just life's will.
You get to choose your level of hard.
Yeah. But eventually the bill always comes due.
That's true. And that's where the savage chill comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So how can people connect with you, Cam, if they want to get started with building systems that last and they're sustainable?
Well, I do. I have a website, Savage Chill Style. And there's a link on it to an online school, depending if you want personal coaching or not. And obviously read the book. I would recommend to read the book anyway, just so you get ahead. And the online school really dives into each of the topics really in depth. They sound simple, but once you understand these concepts, a lot of people have that aha moment. I do cater this to men, but I have had a few women that are they went through it and turned their life around. So, I hate to say it, but most men in today's world, women are much, much tougher.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I love that you have programs specific for whatever gender, whatever lifestyle, and meeting people exactly where they're at. Not only because I think that's the other things with some programs, like some people can talk it, but you've lived it. And that's what I think is so powerful about your story. Is like you have lived through some hard things and you've come out on the other side with some wisdom and some practical ways to kind of navigate those things.
Yeah, no, I will say going through the program, I'm now married again.
Happily married.
Happily married, yes.
Amen.
In a successful marriage, but I contributed through this whole process, it made me a different man. So I can't because of the structure of it and I believe once you go through the system, people can tell the difference just by when you walk in the room.
Wow. That's powerful.
Oh yeah, no, I recommend the book. It's not a super long read, and I go through the whole toolbox of what you really need to do, and even deeper in the online school, with a free session with me to go over the system once you go through it all. Because we all live in systems. Even if you don't have a system, there is a system inside of that. And you have to recognize it. And every module builds on top of the other module. And it will if you implement it. And you're honest with yourself. And I think that's the other thing. When you create a system, you learn about yourself. And I think at the same time, when you purposely put yourself in discomfort, like in the cold plunge, I'm not going to knock meditation, but some of my best thoughts is when you're in there, you can't have a million thoughts going through your mind when you're sitting in cold. And it's crystal clear vision, and you really learn about yourself, and you start having moments like, you know what, all my problems, they're my fault. You start accepting, you start seeing things from a different perspective. When you start putting yourself in discomfort, you stop becoming the victim. And I think that is a key to growing as a person, because ultimately everything, it's on you. Even if you don't think it is, look for how it is on you.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's so powerful. I can think of Mel Robbins. She says, nobody's coming for you. You got to do it.
Yeah.
So just putting that onus, like, stop. What did you say? Stop panicking, stop whining.
Yeah. And you'll start seeing, like, through time, I saw the pattern with all my relationships. And I always said, well, I chose wrong, which, realistically, that is a big concept. But, I did things to really not help the situation. I was the one at the end, ultimately broke these relationships. I was there, but I emotionally wasn't. I buried myself in work, training. I wasn't abusive or anything like that, but I couldn't give the emotional support.
Yeah. And that's important. That's important for a healthy relationship.
Yeah. And I think that, like, once you go through it and you start looking at the subtraction, you start seeing identities you have, it's really enlightening. And you say, oh my God, this caused me this, having this type of identity. And everyone has it.
Yeah. So finding what's unhealthy and eliminating the unhealthy pieces.
Yeah. And everything associated with it.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Cam. I definitely appreciate your heart and your story and your brutal honesty, but also I love the brutal truths of, like, how to overcome those things. And so, yeah, you've given everybody some ways that they can start, even today, small steps. If they want to take it way further and get deep into it, they can jump in and connect with you and even start with the book. I think that's really, really cool that they can even start there. So you said the book is on Amazon as well?
It's on Amazon, yes.
Okay. Good deal.
It should be everywhere, but everyone goes, like I said, everyone goes to Amazon.
Yeah. And so the book's name is Savage Chill, Die to Live.
Yep.
Die to live. And so again, I love that quote that you said, that you wasn't waiting to die, you was racing to live. And so that's a good way to kind of focus your thoughts instead of focusing on a New Year's resolution that's here today, gone tomorrow, but just focusing on, like, how you really want to live a life that you're proud of, that you love.
Yeah. It's a great book, and it was tested in real conditions, not from a seminar, and everything in there is what works.
Yeah, which makes a huge difference. Savage Chill. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Cam. All right, wellness friends, that's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for stopping by the Darren Well podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe wherever you hear this episode. Wishing you a fabulous day, my dear. Until next time, keep living, keep loving, and keep daring well. Take care, guys. God bless. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Daring Well podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to continue exploring the world of holistic wellness, be sure to subscribe to the Daring Well podcast so you never miss an episode filled with transformative conversations and actionable advice. Thank you again for being part of the Daring Well podcast community. Together, let's dare to live well in mind, body, and spirit.